Right, why don't we go ahead and get started in that case. So hey everyone, Maud was not able to make it today, so I'll be host. Maybe just to kick things off briefly, the voting periods for BIP 26 and 27 both ended a few minutes ago, and both had a majority of stock voting in favor, which was exciting to see. So just in summary, BIP 26 was the bug bounty program set up with Immunify, and BIP 27 was the Q4 budget BIP from Beanstalk. So that's all exciting to see, and I posted a little blog post summary of all the BIPs that passed over the last couple of days in the announcements channel. Maybe Mr. Manifold, do you want to give a quick update on what's going on in your world with regard to Root and Beansprout?
Sure. So I guess just recently we actually negotiated a fourth stream for this next month with Halborn. So we'll have a fourth auditing stream. There's just a lot of code. Looks like we want to push out. This one's in specific going to be surrounding the generalized pipeline. So looking to get the audit started there sooner than later. It's going to cost 20,000 beans, and going to look for Beansprout to fund it. So look out for a Beansprout proposal in the next 36 hours, let's call it, for that. So that's a new update. And again, I think it's a positive sign. Halborn, again, just aligning with Beanstalk, accepting beans in exchange for this stream, and we continue to kind of strengthen the mutual relationship we have together. So I think that's really awesome. BIP 24 obviously passed, which is great. So we have the FDBDV, which we're labeling the root token in audit now, and we're making good progress there. So that's also exciting, and what I think is a pretty instrumental development for the ecosystem. And then, kind of aside from that, some of the updates I gave in the last 2 weeks DAO calls regarding, business banking, Bean Card, etc. All is in progress. Nothing material to update the DAO on right now, but moving forward across multiple fronts there. So, yeah, those are my key updates, and people can message me or whatever if you have any questions or comments.
Manifold, just curious, does that 20,000 beans cover the entire audit stream, or is that just a portion that they're accepting in beans?
Correct. It covers the entire audit stream.
Nice. Very cool. That's awesome to see.
For sure.
Chad, do you want to speak for a minute or two about engineering updates?
Yeah, what's up, everybody? Let's see. So a lot going on this week. A couple website updates, which are in the UI updates channel so far this week. Notably, some updates to the governance page in terms of how we're calculating voting power and quorum, and some other bug fixes. And then we have incorporated the necessary front-end changes for the BIPs that were posted over the last 24 hours, including reintroducing CHOP and updating the silo deposit transfer function. Beyond that, let's see. So lots of stuff in flight on the front end. Beansam is currently working on a new version of the balances page that Red Beans finished last week. So that's in development. Cool Bean has been doing some work on the governance page, and we'll be jumping in to help with a couple other things in the coming week. Alex, we've talked a little bit about Alex's work over the past couple of weeks, but I think will prove to be increasingly important throughout the rest of the quarter. But just to get everybody up to speed and hopefully get you excited. So Alex has been working hard on a JavaScript SDK to interact with Beanstalk. And this will basically allow any developer to use the logic that we've built for the front end to do things like run the farm function, do swaps, all of that kind of stuff. And we'll hopefully be implementing that SDK into a couple projects that will be using Beanstalk in the coming months as people start to build on the bean economy. And so we've been hard at work designing that. He's taking lead on architecting that system. and has been moving super fast. So already have some working versions in the UI that may be released soon, as well as a number of other test versions. So that's a pretty big piece of code, and also something that's going to be pretty important for the ecosystem moving forward. So happy to talk more about the implications of that if anyone's interested, or if anyone wants to kind of think how this might affect the ecosystem of developers as well. Beyond that, so Breen has been working on a PR for updating how soil is issued. That's still in the works, but sort of at the testing phase. And we'll be working on the UI side of that moving forward from here. To zoom out a little bit, other big things that we've talked about over the last month on the UI side that I just want to remind everybody on. So one is that wells are obviously still in development at the contract level. From a design perspective, all of the work has already been completed by sweetredbeans and Coolbean on that front. And once the contract level stuff is locked in, we'll be working on kind of bridging the two. So building out the subgraph to track trading in different pools, and then also making it so you can swap between Curve and wells using the farm SDK. And then also on the marketplace, we're still exploring some of the UI implications of this. This is predominantly my project right now. So I think the marketplace V2 is going to introduce a lot of really interesting opportunities, but also UI challenges that we'll need to solve. So a lot of work to be done there still. If I saw some questions, sorry about that. I saw some questions in, I think, general chat about the marketplace V2. I think Maltese might be doing a podcast soon about this with Rex, but if anybody has questions on this call, now would be a good time to kind of get into some of the specifics of how it works. But beyond that, I mean, anyone from the inside, feel free to jump in with stuff that I've missed. We've got a ton in the air right now, but happy to talk more about any of those.
Awesome. Appreciate the update, Chad. Publius, is there anything you wanted to share over the last week or so?
On this end, nothing specifically. A lot going on across, the Beanstalk ecosystem, which is always so incredible to hear. And it's just great to hear how many different projects are going on at the same time and how much work is being done. And just happy to be a part of all of it. So thank you guys for being a part of such a wonderful community.
Agreed. It's super. Oh, I see other Publius unmuted. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, on this end, the only two real updates are, one, wanted to, now after the fact, kind of once again reiterate how important we think the discourse and the discussion is and was and will continue to be around changes to Beanstalk and governance proposals in general. And I think we can continue to all try to do a better job of being more constructive, but generally felt like this is the way it's going to be if this is really to be done in a truly decentralized fashion. And there is some friction around getting changes made, and that's healthy. So from our perspective, it was wonderful to see the process at work. And obviously some of the BIPs did better than others, but they all ended up passing. So really interesting to see at the margin how people were voting, and thought that was pretty cool. The other update is that the white paper has been up-select BIP 24. There may be one or two minor extra changes that might have to get rolled out in an update to the white paper, but just around some typos potentially. And otherwise, the white paper is currently up to date, and think that that's generally another good practice that should collectively be tried to maintain as the development process continues to become more and more decentralized. And so we're going to be trying to work with Austin and a couple of other people that are involved pretty closely in development to get them set up such that they can also start to maintain that document in a more open fashion. And it's already been transitioned. It was a while ago to a Beanstalk Farms overleaf, so now there's some community management already. But I think one of our focuses is going to be over the next couple of months continuing to elaborate on that process such that even not just editing the code once the front end is open source, not just editing or proposing changes to the front end, potentially the subgraphs, the whole stack. It should also include the white paper and potentially other documentation as well. So just trying to continue to think about how this whole process should work in a as decentralized fashion as possible, while still making it such that things are correct and accurate, and there's some truth to the documents, which is ultimately the goal. And so that's a process that we're excited to continue to dig into with a couple of the community members who have expressed interest. So those are really the only two updates on this end. But as Publius was saying, it is kind of amazing to see the explosion of activity on and around Beanstalk, and we are really excited to be a part of it. So nothing too substantive on this end this week, but feel like there's lots of moving parts. And as we've spoken about before, we really view our role and the role that we'd like to have as just helping facilitate all of that development. And so perhaps going forward, less direct updates from Publius and more updates from the people that are actually building this stuff, that we're just trying to help grease the wheels a little bit. That's the way things are going to go more and more. So I think that this is all really healthy and a part of the growth and further decentralization of Beanstalk. And as Publius echoed, we're very grateful to be a part of it.
Awesome. Thanks for the update, Publius. And yeah, I would just add on the documentation front, all the changes to the Farmer's Almanac that need to be made for the 4 previous BIPs are staged, and we just gotta go push a merge button after this call is over, and all that should be up to date as well. Sweet Red Beans, anything you wanted to add today?
Yeah. So I'm sure many of you guys have noticed, but the fall theme is now live on the website. Chad already mentioned this, but the balances rework is handed off at this point, so there will probably be some more work there, but we'll see kind of how that goes as it's being built. At this point, have a kind of basic V1 design for some kind of limited like predefined farm functionality. So more specifically, like harvest and deposit, rinse and deposit, claim and deposit. Those expect to see those soon. The design is about finished. After all of the voting this last week, I probably need to revisit the governance module and make some changes there on the UI side. And then, yeah, hopefully, if I have some extra time, planning to get around to the Halloween theme this weekend and see if we can get that kicked off. So, yeah, that's all the updates from me.
Thanks, Sweet Red Beans. Yeah, maybe I just want to like make a general comment that I think the high level goal of these weekly DAO meetings is not necessarily just for Publius and a handful of contributors to give updates. Certainly I think there's been a lot of good discussion and good ideas brought up in the couple new forum channels in the general section of the Discord, Beanstalk Ideas and Business Ideas. And in particular, I think of whenever Max So presented one of his business ideas a few weeks ago, and that's that kind of kickstarted a lot of good discussion, both live and in text form in the Discord. So if folks have ideas about how to make this more I don't know, welcoming or attractive or et cetera, for folks in the community to come surface ideas live, would definitely be interested in ideas. Not something I've spent a whole lot of brain power on up to this point, but hope to in the near future. And yeah, moving to this voice channel, for example, was one example of that. But if folks have other ideas, I'm all ears. So I'll just pause for a few moments in case there's other things that folks want to discuss.
Yeah, I might as well just jump on and mention that so Bella Beantalk and Rex and I have just kind of completed a pilot episode of a new podcast, which is much more produced. It's not just like a conversation. It's you know, it's an actually scripted and thought out podcast, kind of designed to bring in people who are not already, you know, all in on Bean, and hopefully provide some content that's valuable to just about anybody. And so we're hard at work on episode 2. Hopefully we're going to be launching as soon as episode 2 is done, just so that we have a little bit of a runway. The episode 2 is going to be focusing on debt, particularly, you know, how Beanstalk thinks about debt and how the field works, etc. But also, you know, making comparisons to how you know, other protocols think about debt and other historical, you know, looks at debt from TradFi. So if anybody has a desire or a good suggestion for people that might be interesting to interview for this podcast, we would love to get those suggestions. So just reach out to me or Bella Beantalk or Rex, and yeah, we'll get the ball rolling.
Awesome. Thanks for chiming in there, Beantoven. And just would add as sort of a meta comment, I think Beantoven and Bella Beantalk have been sort of working on, you know, both songs and this new podcast through the community grant program. So, you know, essentially there's you know, there's beans out there for folks who you want to create various content to, you know, educate farmers, spread the word, things like that. So I would encourage folks to, you know, check that out and take advantage. All right. Well, if nothing else, I suppose we can wrap up there. Thanks everyone for coming this week. See you in the next one.